All right, the Seattle Seahawks made a surprising move. If you're new to the channel, we're Detroit Lions fans, but this channel fully dedicated to teams that just kind of get overlooked by the national media. Feels like national media is on just like 5 teams. And so we like to highlight teams that just kind of don't get the love like they should. Seahawks being one of those teams, a sneaky team. Won, 10 games, didn't make the playoffs, but just a couple changes can really do some damage next year. So here's the kind of surprising move is that the Seahawks are hiring Justin Outten to be the run game specialist. So it's like, okay, one of the things, we talk about this a lot on this channel about the Seahawks, is like, man, if they could run the ball and protect, like their offensive line just struggled last year. There's so much room to grow and to get better if the offensive line and run game could get better. So Ian Rappaport called this another smart hire by the Hawks in a social media post. He's 41 years old, served as the Broncos offensive coordinator in 2022, which was the first year of Russell Wilson, and that was that Nathaniel Hackett, and it was just kind of like, what are we doing? Then he was with Green Bay under Hackett. So here's why this is surprising. I think as Seahawks fans, you were like, give me something. Give me a little something here for that offensive line, for the run game. And it's just, this feels like, and usually we're pretty positive on this channel. We like what the Seattle Seahawks are doing. This one's surprising. That's all I can say about it. While Outten was Hackett's OC, it was Hackett who called the offensive plays until he was fired 2 games in the 2022 season. Right. He was Hackett's OC when he was in Denver. So this guy's been a coach for a while. I just don't know what to think about this one. So you let me know in the comments. Usually, like I said, we do our best to find the positives in this. But I guess what I was looking for, because the Seahawks, they went out and they interviewed the Detroit Lions offensive line coach to be their offensive coordinator. We got really excited about that. Not as much for the Lions. I shouldn't say we. I wasn't excited about that, but I loved the direction of that. I see what you're doing. You're going to go take one of the best offensive lines, their coach, who's been in that system, knows all that, right? It just really backs it up to really change the Seattle Seahawks. You have the running backs. You have a good enough quarterback. You've got receiver. We'll get to that in just a second. And by the way, let me know in the comments your favorite all-time Seattle Seahawks wide receiver. We just asked this on our own channel, and a lot of people said Golden Tate, which you could say Golden Tate as well for the Seahawks. So let me know in the comments because we're going to talk about Tyler Lockett here in just a second. But you've got everything except for a general scheme when it comes to running the football. So maybe I'm wrong. I'm just going off of what Outten has done kind of the last few years, and it's like, okay, nothing just like jumps out at me just because that Hackett regime and that Hackett time was so like rough, right? So now, speaking of other dudes that we want to look at, Mike McDonald was asked about Tyler Lockett, and Lockett is just unreal. And so what's he supposed to say, right? Just he's older. You can just tell, like, yeah, we're going to make those decisions. So I just wanted to point out how legendary he's been. Tyler Lockett, 3rd round pick in 2015. He's racked up over 8,000 yards, 61 touchdowns in his 10-year career with the Seahawks. He ranks 2nd in franchise history in both categories, trailing only Steve Largent. Oh, that's a good one. You could put that in the comments. He had 4 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons from 19 to 22, but has seen his production slip the past 2 years. Yes, I would know that because I have drafted him in my fantasy league almost every year. And these last 2 years, shoot, he's slipping. So I think he probably this might be it, but it's like 10-year career, all with the Seahawks, legendary stuff. Love him. Now, the next question is Geno Smith. And I think everybody agrees. You get him protection and you get him a run game. I think he's 100% fine. And that's, can you do that, right? So can you do that? So Kubiak, your new offensive coordinator, said one of the things he liked about this, and again, what's he going to say, right? What is he really going to say? But Geno's a very impressive player at a lot of production. Obviously, he's been doing it for a long time. He's overcome a lot in his career. I have a lot of respect for him. He's a huge draw for me to come here and to be able to coach him. So here's what's interesting about that. Whatever you think about Geno Smith, the facts are he's got a manageable contract that you're just like, okay, we can work with that. When you got new quarterback deals going $50 million, and he's just in that little comfy mid-range. He only makes $30 million, makes $30 million a year. And when guys are getting $50 million. So roll with him, see what he can do this year. Absolutely. I love that. Now, speaking of, let me go back here. Another thing that you're got to be excited about. You missed the playoffs, but that means better draft pick is the silver lining. So here you sit at 18, which is just this little sweet spot, if you will, because up here you're like forced in the top 10. You're forced to do something that you maybe don't want to do. But down here, this is why I've always argued. I have no numbers to back this up. I have no analytics. I don't know how I could ever back this up. But I swear to you, it's almost as advantageous to be later in the draft because you've got less pressure on you. You can draft really good players still, but you're not forced into something, right? If you're picking 4, it's like you have to take a certain player that, again, might be great and it could really work out for you. But I think the net of it all is that's why you see kind of the same 10 teams up here drafting year after year. In the same teams down here. It's like, I don't think there's that big of an advantage. So again, I can't develop that argument very much. So I shouldn't even talk about it because I don't have things to back it up. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. So I'm saying Seattle's in a really good spot. So you go to the mock draft and what Seattle could do. And if you look at it, Josh Simmons, offensive tackle. But I like to do also is look around kind of the late teens and see who else would be available. Look at all the edge players. You don't need one, but boy, you do, right? You always do. Offensive tackle. So there's just, you're going to have your pick. You're going to have a cluster of 10 players that you're going to feel pretty good about. Now, go to the next pick. Here's another edge. Edges are everywhere in this draft, so pick 50, you feel good about that too. So, again, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Again, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I don't know what I think about this offensive hire, but because it's like Seattle needs an offensive run game, and if they don't have it, it's going to be the same season, 8, 9, 10 wins. If they can run the ball, the sky is the limit. So let me know your thoughts, and we'll see all of you on the next one.